Good morning and welcome to Funky Rainbow. What a pleasure it is to be hosting a book bazaar from another city. I mean, all of you who are following us, and we're just going to say hello to our friends on Instagram, friends who've joined us on Instagram. Good morning, and it's such a pleasure to be hosting a book bazaar from another city. For 2.5 years, this has been our dream to be able to travel with the book bazaar, the traveling bookshop, and the traveling book bazaar, basically. And I'm delighted to tell you that the show is, for the first time in its history in 2.5 years, being hosted from a different city. I can see so many of our friends and well wishers up online. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I want to say that today, this wonderful Christmas cheer bazaar coming to you all the way from the city of Chandigarh. Now, what makes Chandigarh really special? It was India's first Prime Minister's dream city. Jawaharlal Nehru considered Chandigarh his dream city, and the French architect Le Corbusier helped plan and design this beautiful city that we are in this morning. Now, the city at the base of the Shivalik Hills is perhaps one of those most well planned, well organized cities. That too for people from Bangalore, right? Which is chaotic as ever. This city seems so structured and so very well planned. In fact, it is considered even today one of the best experiments in urban planning and city architecture. And we are delighted that we have the opportunity to host this show from this very, very beautiful dream city. We have Vivek High School to thank for this. This is this beautiful school, which reflects the grandeur of the city in every way. We're hosting the bazaar from Vivek High's library. What you see behind me is the beautiful Vivek High Library. And I just love the way Sham's able to pan the camera to show you those bookshelves. The children have gone off on their vacation, but the lovely teachers and the staff all here to help us host this bazaar right from Chandigarh. There was one thing that we wanted to do, but we were stuck for time. We wanted to get some beautiful glimpses of the city. We've been seeing some bits and pieces of the city, the beautiful architecture in the city, and also some pictures of the beautiful garden that Vivek High School has. We wanted to get some of those pictures in and put it into the live stream. Just too many things to do and too few hands, which is the story at Funky Rainbow. But what a pleasure! I can't tell you. For all of us at Team Funky Rainbow, for Muttama, for Sham, for me, for Bharti, Netra, this is just an absolute dream come true. Arunji, good morning. Good to be here during the holiday season. It's absolutely and utterly lovely for us as well. And I'm so glad to see that you have perennially and always been shouting out for us at the show. Of course, the season, what else on Christmas Eve? What can that theme be but beautiful, beautiful Christmas books? I mean, books filled with Santa Claus, books filled with the spirit of the season, books filled with kindness, books filled with gratitude. I mean, I do want to say, for me especially, this is a time for a lot of gratitude. And my biggest thank you goes out both to Muttama and Sham, who work absolutely behind the scenes, even as I am talking to you. Muttama is running the pop up down at the basement in the school, recommending books to parents and ensuring that great Indian children's books get into their collections. Sham, I admire the way he sets up the technology. I mean, wherever we go, to be able to just get this whole setup going. I mean, I'm just the front facing person who's hosting the show, but fantastic work from my two co founders and partners in every dream, Muttama and Sham. I also know that my colleagues Netra and Bharti are watching from Bangalore, and how much they have done to ensure that we can pull this off, be it the Lit Fest at Vivek High School, or, and the Book Bazaar this morning. I mean, and of course, a big, big thank you going out to the school itself for believing in our vision of getting good books into the hands of every child, for promoting reading the way that they do it, and to all their teachers who have worked tirelessly across the week. Even just 2 seconds before I started the show, one of their teachers just came running with the steaming cup of tea for me, at the show. So I really have a lot of gratitude, and gratitude is one of the greatest qualities that one needs to, you know, celebrate this season. Book Pickle, what a delight to see you here this morning. Good morning to you. So, of course, the recommendations that I'm going to make today are Christmas books, and they're a mix of Indian books and international books. I mean, we can never be very far away from Indian books, of course. So, but this time, we just got such a stunning array of international books that I have put in a couple into my collection this morning. Now, I'm going to begin. I mean, the weather in Chandigarh has just been fabulous. And of course, as I say the word weather, you can see the snowflakes right up on our screen. That is the magic that Grey Stroke creates. And I truly wish, my polar soul truly wishes that I could be sitting right in the middle of that snowfall. But I've got to say that the weather in Chandigarh has been glorious. It's just been fabulous. I know, Muttama is probably going to say, man, it's freezing cold. But like I said, it suits my polar soul admirably. We love the chill, we love the breeze, we love the fog that rolls so gently in the morning. And of course, we're outsiders, so we're loving it. For people who live here, I'm sure they face many challenges thanks to the fog. But for us, it's just been marvelous. And in keeping with the spirit of that season, of that beautiful climate, I'm going to recommend to you one of the most beautiful books I've set my eyes on, which just came to us 10 days ago, just in fact 2 3 days before we left to come to Chandigarh. And this is the wonderful Robert Sabuda's Winter in White. I mean, no photograph can do justice to this beautiful book. I mean, to the splendid book, essentially. Robert Sabuda, as you know, he is that paper engineer, the writer, the artist, and that master paper engineer who creates these fantastic pop up books that you just can't have enough of. And this one, Winter in White, so perfect for the season, just absolutely suited for the season, is a book that celebrates winter in all its glory. So there is the silent hush of snowy white. There is ice skating across a pond. There are snowmen, and as you can see, the cover certainly has a snowman right up there. And of course, I'm going to open it to show you what it is like. It says it's Winter in White, a mini pop-up treat. Just look at it, folks. And there I am. I'm opening the first page for you. Gosh, just look at the beauty of this book. I'm not sure I can do justice. Can you see these gorgeous snowflakes? I mean, I'm not going to show you much more of the book, but it's just a marvel of paper engineering. Look who's coming up to say hello to all of you. The wonderful snowman who's doffing his hat, as I am to all of you who watch us at the bazaar week after week after week, and support us and champion us in everything that we do. Robert Sabuda's marvel of paper engineering, Wonder in White. It's a beautiful book to kickstart this holiday season. I mean, there is of course a Christmas theme in it, but I'm not going to open up that beautiful page and show it to you. This is just meant for readers of all ages. I mean, you can be an absolute newborn baby. You could be, a grandparent. You could be an aunt and uncle. You're just going to enjoy Robert Sabuda's book. As always, all the books up on our site, www.funkyrainbow.com. Please click on the tab that says Book Bazaar, go to season 5, and you will find, Christmas Cheer as one of the headers. Some of the books that we recommend over here, up over there, but lots of other Christmas books as well. My next recommendation this morning is again another delight. I mean, I can't stop admiring these books for babies that that are available, and sometimes think that read them with just the same childish curiosity and enthusiasm. And my next book this morning is one that certainly kindles that curiosity, be it in adult or child. Where is Santa's beard? Of course, where is Santa's beard? Santa's beard's gone missing. And who could have taken it? He needs it for Christmas Eve. He needs it. He has to get into the reindeer, onto his sleigh and deliver presents all over the world. Now, you know what? Is he looking for it? There you can see Santa looking rather lost without his beard. You know what the cover of the book has? And that's what I mean by saying that you can actually touch and feel Santa's beard. You can actually just touch and feel Santa's beard. And it's such a delight to be, you could be a child, you could be an adult, but here's a book that you're certainly going to enjoy. So, who could have taken it away? Are there pirates who could have taken it away? And this is a lift the flap book, and you can see there's text within those flaps. What fun, what discovery. Before we find Santa's beard, are we going to get him ready in time to deliver the presents this Christmas season? Fabulous, lift the flap book and touch and feel book that would work for the youngest readers. I mean, and this one absolutely will work for our youngest readers, and of course for all of us older folks who can't help have the same curiosity for books that children do, or at least I hope we do. My next recommendation, and of course, I've brought the Kannada version of the book over here because we only had a couple of copies and they had to be left behind at Funky Rainbow's office. But there's the lovely Sam's Christmas present from Pratham. Of course, I'm holding up the Kannada version, but Shams put up the English cover on the screen, by Annie Besant and illustrated by Alicia Souza. What an exciting and extraordinary book this is. I mean, Sam, like any other child who's getting ready to celebrate Christmas, absolutely wants to know what his Christmas gifts are. Have you been there? Have you? Do you Do you know what it is to feel that feeling? Right, when you know that your parents have put away Christmas gift for you somewhere, but you have to wait till or of course maybe not your parents. Maybe some of us do believe that Santa comes down and gives it to us. Now, the thing is, Sam is he's a little older, so he knows his parents have got a Christmas gift for him. He wants to find it and he wants to open it. So, of course, he's doing what he's doing, going about his everyday things, but the present is topmost on his mind. You can see the present absolutely on, topmost on Sam's mind. And he goes and asks his dad. And he's thinking, what could that present really be? I mean, I'm not going to give it away. Does he get to open the present before Christmas Eve? And what is in that Christmas present for him? Fabulous little book from Pratham, absolutely meant for our youngest readers. We'd say, I mean, the touch and feel book, we would say 1 plus. Robert Sabuda's book, I mean, children should just look at it and marvel at the beauty of that paper engineering. And of course, Sam's Christmas present, really for readers, we would say 3 plus for sure. Our next recommendation, and I can see some comments coming in, and for our friends on Instagram and YouTube, for those of you who joined in just a couple of minutes ago, delighted to be hosting our book show, Book Bazaar from Chandigarh. It's been a life dream to host a show from where we from cities that we travel to, and I'm so glad that we've been able to do it right from Chandigarh. This is the first one that we've hosted outside of our home base, and we thank you. I know it's a holiday season. I know, there's plenty of, rest and relaxation time slotted with family, but we thank all of you for absolutely joining us, and, looking at all the books that we recommend to you. I'm going to move on. And my next recommendation this morning, what is synonymous with Christmas? What are we know? Snow is synonymous with Christmas. We know snowmen are synonymous with Christmas. We know Santa is synonymous with Christmas. But what about reindeer? Of course. And I love that snowdrop at the on the, in the background that Charm's able to create. It's not snowing presently in Chandigarh, but the weather is just marvelously cold for someone like me. Now, all these Christmas reindeer, a reindeer, we all know of Rudolph, right? The red-nosed reindeer. And you know that the reindeer, Santa's team of reindeer that take, that ferry Santa across the world to deliver gifts to all children who have been good and kind through the year. Now, what about Ollie? What is Ollie's story? And I love the black and white cover of this book by Nicola Killen. I'm going to show you some lovely pictures from inside the book, and I love the way it's been illustrated because there are just a few, colors that are included in the book. I mean, you can see it's largely black and white, but you can just see that smattering of red, which is such a cheery Christmas color, in the book. And what is Ollie's story? There's a bell ringing, and Ollie is absolutely determined to find out where that tinkling sound is coming from. She follows the sound, she goes wherever the sound takes her, and that's the beginning of a magical Christmas adventure for young Ollie. And you can see, look at the cuts on the pages, paper cuts on the pages. So that's a window. And of course, when you turn the page, look at what it focuses on. Such craft in these beautiful books that celebrate the spirit of Christmas so beautifully. Now, look at Ollie. She's getting on her sleigh. She is determined to find where that tinkling, jingling sound is coming from. I'm not going to tell you where it's coming from, but maybe the title of the book is a giveaway on what Ollie is looking for. It's a beautiful Christmas story. We would absolutely recommend it for readers, for plus, and readers that are young and young at heart for sure. I hope you're enjoying these Christmas recommendations. I mean, almost all the books in, and I know you must wonder how come we've got a clutch of international titles in our collection. This time it's a mix. It's a mix of Indian books and a mix of international titles because there were just some absolutely beautiful international titles that came into our collection, and we were determined to have a few of them, recommend a few of them for you. I truly hope you like what we have chosen this far. The next recommendation in our list. And again, like I said, of course, Santa and snow and reindeer and, presents, but there is a story behind the beautiful festival of Christmas. I mean, there is a story, we all know it. It celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ, the Savior. And what happened? What happened at the birth of Christ? Megha Gupta, what a pleasure to see you here. I have to tell our audience watching, we are at Vivek High School in Chandigarh. The school has run a lit fest across the last week with 6, 7 writers and storytellers doing sessions. And Megha Gupta, the author of After Midnight and Unearthed, one of the authors who absolutely rocked the sessions at Vivek High School. She did a session for the ninth graders, and what a pleasure it was to host you here, Megha. You're wishing everybody a wonderful Christmas and a fabulous New Year, and not just to the team at Funky Rainbow, but also to the fabulous staff, teachers, and students at Vivek High. Thank you so much, Megha. That was another thing that we wanted to do, but the pop up is packed this morning, and we just didn't get time to do that. But we wanted to put pictures of all the writers who came to Vivek High School to celebrate a week of books reading and Indian literature. There was Megha Gupta, there was Nandini Nair, there was Andali Wajid. Muttama was doing storytelling in Hindi. Grey-Stroke, of course, at his best with Kokachi and Makachi and Whalers 3. And I was doing a session around India A to Z and also a session on communication for the senior grades. So, Ritvika Roy, what a pleasure that you've joined us all the way from Kolkata. Happy Christmas, and here's to more bazaars and Kidlit Fests in the new year. Yes, children's books are going to lead the way in 2023. That's my wish and my fervent wish and prayer. And that's what I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for most of all in 2023. Megha Gupta saying, always delighted and glad that you're doing this. Now to come back to my recommendations, and we have a special guest who's going to join us later in the show. You can see Meenu Sahi from Vivek High School, joining us, which is the head of the junior school, completely committed to books, reading, and literature. She is going to join us a little later in the show to talk about why reading is a gift that never stops giving. And of course, so to come back to one of my recommendations in between, there is this beautiful picture book, The Story of the Three Wise Kings by Tommy de Paula. Now, Tommy de Paula, if for those of you who are not familiar with his work, has several Christmas stories. I mean, he's got stories often of Santa in in difficult situations, like for instance in one of his stories called Hurry Santa. Santa's gotten a wee bit late. He's got to deliver gifts all over the world, and I remember there are just some hilarious illustrations of the book of Santa quickly wearing his jammies, his Santa costume, and rushing off to deliver books. To deliver books, yes. If I was Santa, I would certainly deliver books only across the world, but Santa to deliver presents to children across the world. So, in this one, though, the story of three wise kings, Tommy de Paula actually is telling the story. We know of the three wise kings who visited Jesus as soon as he was born, and the gifts that they came bearing. Now, this is a beautiful restored edition of a 1983 picture book, of his own 1983 picture book of the three wise kings. And I'm going to show you a picture from the book. It's a gloriously restored edition of the story of the three wise kings. What gifts did they come bearing? What wishes, what good wishes did they have for the newborn infant? What a beautiful book. And I haven't seen the 1983 edition of the book, but when I looked online, when I tried to find some pages from that book online, it has absolutely been re-illustrated and redone in this fantastic edition. And you can see, look at the pictures. They really, really speak to you. It's a story that really speaks of the spirit of Christmas, for our youngest of readers. Preeti Menon, how lovely to have you here. You say how wonderful to see Funky Rainbow in action in Chandigarh. It is. It's just a dream come true. We've been talking about it for 2 years now. I'm utterly delighted, and I hope this one's going to kickstart, many bazaars from many cities. And I hope, if we have the bandwidth, I mean, we're a tiny, teeny, tiny team. If we have the bandwidth, I would gladly, have taken some pictures and done videos at, let's say, Nek Chand's Rock Garden at Le Corbusier's capital, which is like this wonderful, promenade kind of place, absolutely perpendicular and parallel to each other. I would have certainly taken pictures of eating hot aloo tikkis, sarson ka saag, makki ki roti, which all of which we have absolutely been enjoying in glorious Chandigarh. These dreams come true, ladies and gentlemen, just because I have two wonderfully talented partners who live this dream of taking books here, there, everywhere. Indian children's books, especially here, there, everywhere. So, a big shout out from me to Muttama Devaya, who's at the moment not even able to lift her head up the bill books because she is billing and recommending books to parents who've come to pick them up from the pop up at right at the basement of the school's, right in the school's basement. And Sham, of course, who is, deftly managing this whole show from another place. Of course, Bharti and Netra, who are watching from Bangalore, who have made all this possible for us. What of my next recommendations? And I'm going to sip a cup of chai. I mean, I'm not even a chai or coffee drinker, but the teachers here have absolutely found that right mix of chai for me, given it to me in a beautiful cup. So I'm just going to take a sip before I continue with my next set of recommendations. And of course, before our wonderful guest joins us a little later in the show. So, for those of you who think we may have abandoned the Indian children's books, fear not. How could there be a Christmas bazaar without this excellent chapter book by Nalini Sorensen? We know what a fun writer Nalini Sorensen is, and lucky it's not just a Christmas story written by her and illustrated by Shamika James. Is just a laugh a minute Christmas tale. Lucky, as is a little doggy. And the wonderful thing about this book is that it's narrated in Lucky's voice. We all know, and of course, Lucky, when the book begins, he's like, okay, something's going on, there's a lot of excitement in the air. He's not able to figure out what it is. And we know that Christmas is a time of giving now for Lucky. And when we see the story through Lucky's eyes, he's wondering, why do we only give at Christmas time? And he's also wondering if friendship is something that can truly be gifted. It's a superb story. It's told through the dog's eyes, through Lucky's eyes. And I want to show you some pages inside. I mean, the book, as you can see, is a chapter book, works for 5, 6+ year olds. And you can see that the illustrations are left in black and white because the children who are reading it color can color these pages. I mean, a perfect book to warm the cockles of your heart. If the Christmas in your city is cold, it's the perfect book to warm the cockles of your heart. If your city is not particularly cold, here's a book that will still make you go, oh, this is such a sweet story to read for Christmas. The story of Zara, the story of Lucky, and the spirit of Christmas. We would recommend this for 5, 6+ year olds, definitely. Now, what of my next recommendation? My next recommendation is another hilarious. I love the humor that a lot of Indian writers bring to their books. I mean, and this particular one, is just hilarious. It's a laugh a minute story by Parinita Shetty, When Santa Went Missing. You've got to, see this. You've got to read this book, to understand, what is it to, what is it to a young boy whose father is Santa Claus. I mean, 11-year-old Noel in this story, all he wants is a normal life. But do you think it's even possible for somebody to have a normal life when their dad is Santa Claus? Ooh, Noel is struggling to deal with her dysfunctional family. I mean, I'm not sure how, I mean, from the outside, it seems like it would be fun if your dad was Santa Claus. But really, think about it again. What if he had to don that costume every single time and go off somewhere? So Noel is absolutely, not just dealing with a strange, dysfunctional family, but you know what happens right in that Christmas season? Santa goes missing. Has just disappeared, and it is falls upon Noel's young shoulders, to save the day, to find Santa, and to save Christmas. Do you think Noel will be able to find her father and Santa Claus? There's just adventures aplenty at every twist and turn of the story. There are laughs aplenty in the book as well. And I think When Santa Went Missing, which we'd recommend for 9+ year olds, let's say 9+ year olds is what I would say. I mean, no illustrations, just text, is a fantastic story of protecting the world from worldwide panic. I mean, bad enough that this Santa Claus is Noel's father, but you imagine the panic in the world when Santa goes missing. Hilarious as Parinita Shetty can be, we'd say 9+ readers absolutely need to get this onto their shelves. I want to say that, the Funky Rainbow website has been having some trouble. We've had a malware attack almost a month and a half ago, and we have, raised a complaint, increased the security levels, but somehow that malware seems to keep sneaking its way back into the site. So the site is up in the morning and then down an hour later and then back up. Our service providers clean the malware up every single time it attacks, and the site goes back up again. But obviously this malware is auto programmed in such a way that the site, it kind of comes back into the site. For those of you who may have trouble logging into the website to place your orders, I mean, there are these books, there are tons of other Christmas books available at the moment. But if you have some trouble, just contact us on WhatsApp, and we will make sure that those Christmas presents are shipped to you on time, every time, really. So just wanted to say, I know a lot of you write in, and I can see, Shams sort of logging into the site and checking to see whether it's working properly, and it absolutely seems to be working properly at the moment. So we should have no trouble. I don't think you will have any trouble, but if you do face some trouble logging into our website, just connect with us on WhatsApp. 99004 95665 is the number, and we will ensure that the books are shipped to you. Our next recommendation, and I'm just checking the time, just to see whether our guests, will join us in just a bit. I'm just going to shout out to see if she is a busy lady. She's the head of the junior school, and I think there's lots going on the last day of school. Maybe you should tell the teachers, that they need to bring her up to join us at the show. But while till she comes in, a couple of more exciting recommendations for all of you. And of course, these are Indian children's books that we are recommending now. We find that there were a lot of exciting books. by Indian writers at a slightly older age group. Not that many picture books that seem to be available in the Indian context. So for all of you writers watching, this has got to be a cue that you can take to come up with exciting picture books for our younger readers on Christmas. Now, my next one, which is also a novel, Christmas Held to Ransom, written by Nimmi Kurian and illustrated by Tanaya Vyas. You can see, this is a story. I mean, again, a novel, we'd say, 9 plus year olds or 10 plus year olds, depending on the reading level. Now, there is Asha, Ganga in the story. There's Asha, Ganga, Chris, Rakesh, and Anne. And there's a new teacher in school, that's Miss Puma. And the kids, the protagonists of the novel, are utterly and absolutely sure that they're going to have fun times with her. But just as they're getting comfortable with her, and just as they realize that she's a lovely teacher, and that's somebody that they can really enjoy both their lessons and have fun with, Miss Puma disappears, and the friends are absolutely in a quandary about how they can find her. What do you think the gang of six is going to do? And it is Christmas time. There is all the Christmas excitement in the air. But in that mystery, is that festival going to be? Are there celebrations, Christmas celebrations, going to be held to ransom? You've got to read this. I mean, again, I'd say 9 plus year olds. There are illustrations, of course, in the book. Can this gang of six solve the mystery of Miss Puma's disappearance and ensure that Christmas is not held to ransom and their celebrations are saved? A fantastic book and a mystery set around Christmas. I can see some of the teachers here. Ma'am, would you like to? It's okay. We're right in the middle of a show. Not to worry about it at all. This is informal. If I would like to you to say hello to our audience and also bring Meenu ma'am if possible, right? I would like, audience, we would like you to meet two wonderful elves for Team Funky Rainbow, the excellent librarians. Please do say hello to our audience, all of whom are watching.
Hello everyone, greetings from Vivek High.
Yes, they have worked all through the week to ensure that we've got everything we need, whether it's the sessions that we're doing, whether it's the bazaar that needs to be set up. And I have to say that we need wonderful teachers, wonderful, encouraging teachers like you to do everything that we do. Thank you so much, teachers. And if we know if she's free, then we would love to. Wonderful. We would love to have her here. I'm just waiting for Meenu Sahi to join us at the show, but I'm going to make two other quick recommendations to you before she, joins us and we have a chat about books, reading, and what they do at the school to promote this habit. Now, of course, there's another book which I have absolutely loved, David Badiel's books. And this one, a Christmas story called Virtually Christmas. I mean, David Badiel has that Future Friend. That's the book that I read, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then there's one more called Accidentally Famous, which I haven't had a chance to read. But Virtually Christmas is something that I virtually only finished reading last evening. And what is the story? So suitable for our for young readers, because it's time to rescue Santa in this story from the internet. You can see how hazy virtually is. And it's obviously Christmas, the most wonderful time of the year. And but what has happened in the modern world? The internet has absolutely taken over. all things. And this is a fantasy, it's a futuristic fantasy, so everything connected to Christmas has absolutely disappeared. Everything that all the other books that we've been showcasing, everything that we spoke of, the snow, the Santa, the sleigh, the reindeer, the presents, all of that has absolutely disappeared. Instead, Christmas is run by robots. Okay, and there are 3D holograms of Santa Claus that pop up here and there. There are Santa avatars. I mean, that's a fantastic coinage that David Baddiel has made. Santa avatars that are, that determine whether you've been naughty or nice. I mean, imagine a machine determining whether you've been naughty or nice. And you know what? Drones deliver all the Christmas presents, not Santa, honestly. It's truly time, folks, to rescue a Santa and Christmas from the internet. It is a fantastic, hilarious, laugh a minute book. Again, 8, 9 year olds, because there are pictures, and I love this picture of the drones delivering birthday presents. Why do we need to rescue, Santa from, why do we need to rescue Santa from the internet? Because we don't want the real meaning of Christmas to be gone and lost forever. David Baddiel with Virtually Christmas, a hilarious read and perfect for this season. And my last recommendation, for today, I mean, of course, I've got a whole host of books. So if Minu, who's right in the middle of handling, admin, work with the junior school children whose last day at school it is, so many parents visiting and many parents wanting to chat with her to find out the progress of their kids. If she takes a couple of minutes, we can always get into a chit chat about your favorite Christmas books. I would be delighted to see whether they're books for children or adults, doesn't matter. Please, send me titles and names of your favorite Christmas books as well. And I'm going to recommend, to what is the last book in our collection. A lot of more books up there as well, but this is one that I utterly loved, simply because, Celebrate Christmas. It's an anthology of Christmas stories with lots of fun Christmas activities. Why is this book? I mean, we love the stories in the book, but there's also another reason why it's special for us, because the cover of this series of books, which celebrates different kinds of festivals. So there's one for the Shera, there's one for Diwali, there's one for Holi, and this series and these covers have been designed and illustrated by the one and only Grace Stroke, making this a very, very, very special book for all of us at Team Funky Rainbow. Now, what about these? There are super stories, there are fantastic folk tales, there's myths and legends, and there are Christmas carols to be sung, as well as Christmas activities that you can do. How to create a brown paper stocking. And some of the contributors are, amongst the finest writers for children in India. There's Anu Kumar, excuse me, Anu Kumar, there's Deepa Agarwal, I know there's Rupa Pai, I know there's Swapna Datta. There are just a slew of stories, I think 8, 10 stories by some of India's best writers for children. And we are, like I said, we really hold this book dear because of Grace Stroke's work on the illustration and on the cover illustration and design. And of course, there are fun festival activities to do, and also bits and bytes of information on Christmas, about the festival, about Santa Claus, the significance of the Christmas tree, what are different Christmas traditions across the world. It's a lovely, lovely compilation. We would say 9, 10 plus year olds, a wonderful anthology on Christmas, perhaps something that should be in every child's stocking. So with that, we come to the end of our recommendations. If you'd like to put down the names of some of your favorite Christmas titles, I would be delighted. I do have a clutch of other books, but I also wanted to check if we could quickly say hello to the different people who have joined us at the show today. And I'm just going to check if it's possible for it was possible for my colleague Netra to actually send me a list of people who have signed up for the show. And yes, I can see, Sham, I think you may need to look on Instagram. I'm not sure whether you haven't been able to. Okay, fine. We're not able to say, we don't have our team around over here for us to say thank you to each and every one of you who have joined us on the show, be it on YouTube, be it on Facebook, or be it on Instagram. I mean, Sham's managing too much technology. Typically, when we host a bazaar, Netra or Bharti will, keep responding to people who sign in and watch us on Instagram. I know, Arunji, Book Pickle, Megha Gupta, Ritvika Roy, Preeti Menon. I mean, these are some of the names that I can call off who are watching us on Facebook. Okay, of course. And my team never letting me down ever. Thank you so much, Bharti and Netra. They've sent me a long list of people who are watching us on YouTube and Instagram. Nidhi Saina, Abhimanyu, Radhika Suri, Ramya Pasand, Vijay Lakshmi Nagraj. What a pleasure to have you watch us on the show. She was one of the writers who was at Vivek High, regaling the children with her stories with puppets and some beautiful nature tales. Thank you so much for watching us. And Nandini Nair, sending out a big hug to you from a space that you're really familiar with at the moment. It's the library where you did fantastic sessions. Nandini Nair did lovely sessions around her Apurva series. In fact, she's known as Apurva Auntie in many circles because those books, Apurva's Fat Diary, Meanie.com, Laugh Out Loud Apurva, so popular amongst young readers. And she also did a session around her book, The Happiness Train. What a pleasure that you're watching us this morning. Nia Creations, Andali Wajid. My God, what would we do without our eternally supportive kidlit community? Andali was clearly the rock star of this, outing at Vivek High. The kids, the older kids, it's really hard to do sessions for, senior school children. But Andali absolutely rocked it with The Legend of the Wolf, which is that eerie, spooky school excursion story, which I recommend that every one of you reads, and a book very, very relevant to our times that she did the session for older kids. That is Mirror, Mirror. She did a session around her book, Mirror, Mirror, which is about body shaming, so relevant to our times. And I think the older kids couldn't have enough of Andalib's sessions. Thank you so much for watching us. Smiling Spring, Tariq Aziz, what a pleasure that you've joined us at the show this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we absolutely have to put our hands together for Tariq Aziz, whose book, Bumoni's Banana Trees, won the prize, the Honor Book Award at the Green Literature Festival very, very recently, written by Meeta Bordole. And I'm going to welcome Meenu Sahi. Please have a seat, and I will just quickly introduce her, to you. But I was just saying, Tariq Aziz, whose book, Bumoni's Banana Trees, he's illustrated this book written by Meeta Bordole, which was absolutely, one of the honor books at the Green Literature Festival recently in Bangalore on the 18th of December. And Megha Gupta, who has joined us at the bazaar, is one of the co-founders of that festival. This Some Life Might Get Awkward. Sumcha, Ankita, Mukta Vikas, and Niharika, thank you to all of you for joining. And Sheetal Dambal, Shiraz. Saini, thank you so much for joining us right from this place, right from Vivek Hai Chandigarh and Potigay Malay. Thank you to all of you who join us on Facebook and Instagram, cheering us on every single time, about our, book recommendations. And now I would like to introduce you to our wonderful guest for the day, Meenu Sahi. So, ladies and gentlemen, the yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's such a pleasure, to have Meenu Sahi join us at a book bazaar this morning. She is exactly the reason why, a 2.5 year dream of Funky Rainbows has come true, of hosting a bazaar from another city. We've been wanting to do this for 2.5 years now, and it's Meenu's kindness, generosity, and vision that has made this possible. I would like all of you, all of us, I mean, typically in the office, we all of us would put our hands together, but today, Sham and me, to put our hands together for Meenu Sahi.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so kind. I'm very grateful for those kind words. And I think I'll start blushing very soon
You have
with such a kind introduction.
you have absolutely the right complexion for it, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we met, Meenu at a Montessori conference.
That's right.
Many years ago in Bangalore, prior to the pandemic, and I remember. Sorry, did you? Okay, I will. I will. To myself, to my side. Okay. So the thing is, we met her at a Montessori conference, and I remember, distinctly remember while I was at that conference, she was just looking for books so undistractedly. It's not easy. People will look at four and then just go away. But Meenu absolutely had her head and nose in that tub of books, picking out many, many for her school. At that point, we didn't know that she was running a school. But this friendship and relationship with Funky Rainbow begins right there, in absolutely the right way, to find a person who is absolutely interested in books. And across these years, to build this relationship, which Mutama has so wonderfully taken forward on Funky Rainbow's behalf, and to be at the school right here after an entire week of a lit fest, really, Meenu, it means a lot to us. Thank you so much
You're
once
most
again.
welcome. I think I'm delighted to have you here at my school. And we've been trying to do this now for many, many years.
Yes.
And you've taken me down memory lane when I was looking at those books.
Yes.
And I'm always very keen on finding good books for children to read,
Yes.
and especially young readers. And there are many, books that are very funny to adults, but they're not really meant for children.
Absolutely.
So there are books where you see children climbing up inside the fridge,
That's
you
right.
know, and those kind of books should not be read by, say, 4 year olds, 5 year olds, 6 year olds. You know why?
You
Because
have
they
to
will
tell
do
me.
exactly what they see. They will try and get into a refrigerator because they have seen that happen in a book. And that is why it is very important to choose the right book for the right age group,
Absolutely.
you know. And that's what I was looking at when I was looking at these books, and I was so fascinated with some brilliant, brilliant illustrations, that which are the ones that we can introduce and keep in our own school, in our classes. And I found many.
That's just.
Right, and I found many, and we were all, I think, with more baggage that we could carry back. Even though I was with a team of teachers, of course, we picked up saris also from there, but we picked up a whole lot of books, and then some of them I think you couriered to us.
Yes, absolutely. The right kind of baggage, we say every time.
That's
Books,
right.
absolutely the right kind
Right.
of baggage. But,
Absolutely.
I have to, oh, I can see Shiraz making a comment. Is good morning. It's so lovely to see you here. The best school to do storytelling for the kids and teachers. Dear Minu, of course, I mean, we have enjoyed our stay and stint at the school. But, I have to say, Minu has the most exciting kind of background. One would think that, a background in finance and in finance management, actually. Does it lend itself very well to the running of a school? Well, Minu has shown us why it's important to bring, a management degree into the running of an educational institute. But it's not just the management degree, it's about putting your heart into what you really believe in. And I know, you said it was you worked in Amsterdam. You worked for many years in Amsterdam, and you came back, and this was a job that was connected to your financial management background.
That's right.
But at that point in time, it was a neighbor's son whose education, got you interested in Dr. Maria Montessori's methodologies,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Would you like to tell our audience a little bit about it? Yeah.
I was staying, Amsterdam has very narrow homes,
Mm-hmm.
but they are very deep,
Okay.
and you live one on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So my not next door, my upstairs neighbor
Uh-huh.
had a son.
Okay.
And as they say, it takes a village
To
to
raise a
raise a
child.
child. There were times when, I would get a message that if you're home at this time, can he come and sit with you for some time? Because everybody is working,
Yes,
and not everybody is as lucky as we are in India to have grandparents
absolutely.
or to have help at home or somebody at home to take care of the child. So there were times where I would walk him from his school, which was just down the street, and I would interact with him and
Mhm.
chat with him. And I was really intrigued by his curiosity and his kind of questions. And there was somebody who was very seriously sick. I still remember this conversation. And the conversation was that this person though is very sick but is not in pain.
I see.
So this young chap tells me maybe there's something to do with his her nerves.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe her nerves are not working properly. That's
Nerves.
why she doesn't feel any pain. I was like, oh my God, I would never think like that. I would just be very grateful that this person is not in pain. And so many such things that got me interested, and even when I would pick him up from school some odd Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of happy kids I would find and the kind of work they would have done was very different to what I had done when I was a child.
Okay.
So that is what,
Kick-started your
kick
interest
started
in
as to, is this only this child or is it
all the
something to do
children.
with a slightly different kind of education?
And then your own kids got you. Absolutely, it's a classic story, right? Many
Right.
people who write for children, illustrate for children, they begin when their own
With
kids
their
are
own
born,
kids,
right? So
absolutely.
your own kids got you really
Got
interested in
absolutely.
education as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my readings, trying to figure out what is good, what is not, and that's where the journey began. And somewhere I was always the person teaching, whether it was friends in school,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was friends in college,
Okay.
and or whether it was in my job
Mm-hmm.
where I was in ING investment management,
That's right.
and they would have a session where our biggest stakeholders, so I'm talking about elderly gentlemen and women
Mm-hmm.
who were, the CEOs of top companies there,
Mm-hmm.
doing their investments with us,
Mm-hmm.
giving them an insight as to how do we invest their money. And
Ah,
I'm not talking about, a couple of thousands, but
no, big
more like,
money. Yeah.
millions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
that we were investing. And of course, these are very important stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever these training sessions would happen,
Mm-hmm.
somehow I made my way there once,
Mm-hmm.
and then they never left because I got very good, replies from the stakeholders that we understand her sessions very well.
Ah,
So I think teaching at
just
every step of the way somewhere was meant to be.
But did you think at that stage, that you would be heading a junior school? I mean,
No,
that
no,
transition
no.
must have been
I
quite a journey, frankly, right?
That wasn't something that I thought of,
Uh-huh.
but I've always enjoyed putting across any topic as clearly as possible and as bluntly as possible, if
Yes,
you may.
important point.
And I think it works with children and adults, when you say it clearly as to
Mhm.
what you expect somebody to do, and then it is done, rather
Absolutely.
than wasting time left, right, and center.
Absolutely. I
And I've spent so
absolutely.
much time in Holland. They are meant to be the most blunt people in the world.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yes, very straightforward.
So obviously some of those qualities have been imbibed as well. But coming back to to Vivek High School where you joined, and then to put the Montessori system of education in practice here at various levels, right? Now, what did that entail? You yourself got equipped with many degrees,
That's right.
of creating various environments in
That's right.
school,
So it's
right?
been
You
a
must have.
very challenging journey.
Mm-hmm,
It hasn't been easy
mm-hmm,
in any way at all.
mm-hmm.
Um, Starting with a kindergarten, which was already one of the best in the city,
Okay.
and then trying to change it to
Mm.
something new
Okay.
is obviously was very challenging. It meant taking all the staff along with you, which
Right.
is never easy,
Right.
which means a lot of education needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily for me, the ethos of the Vivek was in Montessori from the very beginning,
Okay.
because one of our founder members, who happens to be my mother in law, was the first Montessori trained person in the Indian group, as she was
Oh,
trained in 1967
I see.
by Mr. Yostin, who was a
Okay.
very, very, who worked with Mario Montessori, that is Dr. Maria Montessori's son, and Maria Montessori herself. So she was trained by him.
I see.
But I think she was ahead of her times to have brought this approach into a school in Chandigarh when the school started. But somewhere the philosophy of giving respect to the child was always a part of the school from the very beginning.
That's just lovely.
you
That's
know
really
and
wonderful.
that's where I started, and that's where our training started, trying to understand what is it that this pedagogy entails, and then bringing it about by training our entire staff.
Yes,
you
yes. I
know
mean, that's not at all easy,
no,
isn't
it
it, to
isn't.
be able to get an entire system pedagogy into the school. In fact, one of the most interesting things is Funky Rainbow. We work with many schools, many Montessori schools, and I've noticed that at every single time in a Montessori environment, children learn to write first.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And it's because it's they consider that an organic step in the process of learning to read.
Right.
I've always been really curious about it. Would you like to tell our
Okay,
an
so
audience about it?
usually people think writing is very difficult,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
I'm going to tell you the opposite. Reading is more difficult.
Really.
Why? Because when you're writing, you have a thought in your mind already,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And with that thought, all you need to do is to break that thought into sounds.
Right.
And with the sounds, you identify the alphabet
Right.
and you put it together.
Hmm.
And that's it,
Okay.
right? But with reading, one more very important point that needs to come in
Hmm.
is, yes, when you're reading, you need to identify the alphabet, you need to attach a sound to it,
Hmm.
put it together to read,
Hmm.
but then you have to comprehend what somebody else has written,
Oh, really?
right? That one part, to comprehend what somebody else has written, is more difficult than to write your own thought.
So you believe that when they write their own thoughts, they become more equipped to understand what someone else has written. Is that correct?
Well, if you need to read,
Mm-hmm.
there must be a reason to read, because reading is slightly higher order,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When a child comes to us, he's 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
That child has a vocabulary already.
Mm-hmm.
He knows words. He
Mm-hmm.
knows ball. He probably even knows dinosaur,
Yes, of course.
right? And so many other words.
Right,
He doesn't know how to write,
right,
right?
right.
But in order to write, the word, the vocabulary is already here.
Mm.
And in order to write, when we say write, we don't necessarily mean writing with a pencil,
Of course.
right? We
Mm-hmm.
mean putting alphabets together,
Right.
whichever way, whether they are cut out alphabets,
Mm-hmm.
bigger or small,
Mm-hmm.
and then putting them together to write that word which is already here.
Mm.
Now, that takes only 2 steps.
Right.
You should know the sounds,
Yes.
identify the alphabet with the sound,
Mm-hmm.
and then one after the other put it together, and you have the word and you right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't mean writing creatively.
No, no, of
That
course.
comes
Yeah,
later.
yeah, yeah.
But if you need to read,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot have motivation to read without comprehension,
That's
right?
interesting. Mm-hmm.
And if you have to read a book or whatever, it is somebody else's thought. It's not your own thought. So
Okay.
when you have to comprehend somebody else's thought, that is one step further than just attaching sounds with alphabets and putting them together.
So that's why
That's
you
why.
consider it a higher order skill. That's really interesting. The other thing that Montessori pays a lot of emphasis on is reading aloud.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's been proven, I think, time and again that children who are read out to, become very good readers themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you have to say about reading out? And I also think in the present world and in the context of the fact that most people are watching parents,
Right.
it's also a great way to bond with your kids, isn't it? Reading aloud.
Absolutely. I think when a child reads aloud,
Mm-hmm.
you've got two inputs happening at the same time,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Two sensory organs are being used at the same time
Mm-hmm.
for comprehending a piece of text,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
One are your eyes
Mm-hmm.
that are reading,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's your
Mm-hmm.
voice
Mm-hmm.
which is reading aloud,
Ah, okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are two sensory inputs which are going into the brain,
Okay.
which helps you
Mm-hmm.
to comprehend better,
I see.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So usually what children do in the very beginning is reading without comprehending,
Okay.
because early readers is the challenge only to get through
Mm-hmm.
what you have read.
Mm-hmm.
Comprehension comes in as we spoke,
Right.
uh, a wee bit
Mm-hmm.
later.
Mm-hmm.
But if you read aloud,
Mm-hmm.
then you've got your own voice
Mm-hmm.
to comprehend,
Yeah.
apart from your eyes that are comprehending.
Mm-hmm.
And we know this is a sensorial period. Everything that is in the brain has gone through one of the senses.
Mm-hmm.
And by reading aloud, you're using
Two
two
senses.
sense organs
Fantastic.
simultaneously. So, technically, that is the reason why reading aloud helps.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk as a family,
Right.
there's so much more to it, right?
Yes.
You can emote it, you can make it funny, you
Mm-hmm.
can bring in facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
You can also get to know whether your child understands punctuation. Is the child stopping at a comma
Mm-hmm.
or a full stop
Mm-hmm.
or an alas, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more to it than just reading and comprehending when you read aloud. Pronunciation,
Right.
intonation,
Right.
so much more comes in,
Mm-hmm.
and so much dramatics can be at play
Mm-hmm.
when you are reading aloud. You
Mm-hmm.
can suddenly, there's a funny line, you can get into acting it out,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's not just drab reading aloud
I know.
or a very mundane sort of reading that we usually think
Mm-hmm.
when when we also tell parents you should read with the children.
Right.
Most of them think it's so boring. It's so nice to watch a movie on the television. It's so much better now to play video games, the PS5s and the
It's so much
PS6.
more
It's so
exciting.
much more exciting, you know. But we've just forgotten that reading can be very interesting too.
Yes.
It's not boring. It's not drab.
Absolutely. The emotion that probably connects
Yes.
you as a family.
Right.
I can see Arun, who's a librarian at a school in in Hyderabad, saying that it's always difficult for me to choose what to take because of so many books that get published. I'm always jealous of the present young crop of readers because they have a wide variety of books to choose and read from. Maybe we can just ask you a question. When you choose books for your youngest readers at school, and you are really a hands-on founder who has her nose deep in books when she's choosing. What do you look for? Maybe it would help somebody like Arun.
Right. So I look for books that can help children do what they're doing in their daily lives.
Ah,
Right. So books on what can I do at a park?
yes.
What can I do in a museum?
Mm-hmm.
What can I look for at a museum?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do in the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
what can I do when my parents are away?
Ah.
Right?
Right.
So I would rather take on books which relate to children in their daily lives.
Uh-huh.
Like what do they take away from the book?
Right.
Right?
Right.
That stems gives them a thought of, okay, this is what I read there.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I can do now. So
Mm-hmm.
when I talk of kindergarten,
Mm-hmm.
then those are the books that I would like to choose.
Uh-huh.
So maybe recipe books,
Really?
right?
That's
Very
interesting.
easy recipe books
Mm-hmm.
for children
Mm-hmm.
that they can read and follow,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know,
To do themselves.
to
To
do
mm-hmm.
themselves. Animal books, I think animals are very, very fascinating. So I'm not talking about where animals speak,
Yes. Not fantasy.
not fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
about the animal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
a rabbit,
Mm-hmm.
what does it do?
Mm-hmm.
How does it live?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it found?
Mm-hmm.
Or a deer, or
Mm-hmm.
any animal. I find children take to animal books
So easily.
so easily. They take to books that they can do something about,
Uh-huh.
you
Uh-huh.
know. But
Uh-huh.
when I look at grades 1, 2, and 3,
Okay.
then I'm looking for more imagination
Right.
because that's where imagination is developing.
Right.
And that's where you want to give them a book that they can imagine about.
Right.
But kindergarten needs books that
Realistic ones.
realistic ones that they can read and do.
Mm.
That okay, when I go to a park, I need to look for something. Oh, that book told me they found this in the park.
Mm.
Let me go find this in this park.
Mm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
those kind of books,
Mm-hmm.
or about relationships. Those are the other books that I find very, very nice to have in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
Having a new baby,
Ah, like a sibling?
like a sibling.
Ah.
So when I have a new brother or a sister coming,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the preparations that happen in the house, right?
Uh-huh.
What do I feel like?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to tell my mother when a new baby is coming into the house,
Right.
right?
Right.
Something about visit of a grandparent
Mm-hmm.
or visit to a grandparent.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want from them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the books that I find very interesting for this age group
Mm-hmm.
to be read to
Ah,
because they can relate to it.
that's lovely. I hope you have your answer, Arun. I mean, lots of I know Montessori schools look for these life experiences to get, sort of validated via books,
And the other reason
essentially,
is we
right?
want to give them so many experiences that they can write about, as writing comes before reading.
You
Right?
know, it's
So experiences, you can only write about something that is
already in your head.
already in your head. Otherwise, what will you write about? Otherwise, you can only copyright,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't want children to copyright.
Of course.
So you can write only about what is here,
Mm-hmm.
and what is here comes only from their own experience
At an early stage,
at an early
at an
stage.
early stage,
Yes,
right? Because, like you said, clearly, when they go past first and second grades, you are very actively encouraging them to pick up fantasy and imagination as well,
right.
right?
Because
Yeah.
that's where they want to know the whys of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Why does this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Right? In kindergarten, it's still about what is this,
Right,
right?
right. Very good definition of what this is and why is something happening at a later stage where
Right. They're
they
not
can.
interested in knowing the why in kindergarten. As long as you
Mm.
give them what is this? It is a table. I'm happy.
So, you are a passionate Montessorian, obviously, right? I mean, you've done courses, you've implemented many Montessori pedagogies in the school here. You've set up multiple environments. I mean, I was reading, your bio, and I was like, my, you've set up so many environments in school. Would you like to, share with our audience, one or two interesting pedagogies that you have sort of set up in school over here at Vivek High, and maybe some things that parents can incorporate at home easily as well, perhaps?
Right. So I think if I talk about, yes, we are 100% Montessori school where we have very lucky to have so many environments that we can offer
Mm-hmm.
to the children. I talk about kindergarten, we have 12 on this premises, 9 in our other school in Mohali.
Mm-hmm.
If I talk about elementary,
Mm-hmm.
again we have 12 here and a similar number there.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of them has been catered to
Mm-hmm.
with material which is age appropriate.
Right.
And these are the environments that when I've traveled abroad in the US, in Europe, where I've done my practice teaching,
Mm-hmm.
where I've done my observations, which were necessary to get
Mm-hmm.
the AMI diploma, which is
Mm-hmm.
not easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say our environments are uh, very similar, if not identical, to what I see
Right.
over there.
Mm-hmm.
Implementing the Montessori pedagogy only today. So we've had a parent interaction in
Mm-hmm.
school going
Yes,
on today,
yes.
and I had so many parents just coming in to talk about how happy they are with what is happening in the
In
classrooms.
classes.
You know, so one of the things I'd like to talk about is decision making.
Okay.
So, as part of the pedagogy, the child is allowed to choose what work the child will do in the day,
Hmm.
right? And with that choice, so it's not haphazard,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You are given only so many choices,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but you don't have a choice to not work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many people think it's a very unstructured environment.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a choice in a structured environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But by coming day in and day out and having this freedom to choose brings upon a responsibility in a very organic manner
Mm-hmm.
in the child to become responsible for
Mm-hmm.
their own learning.
Hmm.
And that I find is just beautiful. Just today, I had a parent who spoke about how they need to take 2 months off
Mm-hmm.
because they need to take care of some legalities in another country
Mm-hmm.
after the departure of the father.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me that, but our child comes to us and says, okay, I've finished my work. Can you just check if it's correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or we find children in class who go up to educators and take the responsibility of finishing their work and going up to them and saying, could you please tell me if this is correct?
Mm-hmm.
Have I done it
Mm-hmm.
correctly? And I think once you've achieved that in children, our job is done. When the responsibility of learning has moved to the child,
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the goal that
that's
education
that's the
wants to
goal.
achieve.
And if your grade one child is doing that, if your upper KG child is doing that, it is beautiful that they are able to do it. When we were in school,
Mm-hmm.
we used to finish our homework because we wanted to get it out of the way. At least I was like
Even
that.
I was like that as
Okay, okay,
well.
ma'am has given this work to do quickly. Who will finish it first? You finish it first, you're done and over with it, and it's gone. But it was never done with the thought that have I understood?
I know.
Have I done it well? Have I done it correctly? That didn't cross our minds when we were in school.
That's right.
So I see that as a very stark difference and something that we wanted to bring onto the table.
Mm.
And the other thing that I find with this pedagogy is that, when you do the same lesson plan for everyone in class,
Mm-hmm.
some go ahead and some lag behind,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And those who lag behind in every class because they're lagging behind,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in a Montessori environment, everybody picks up the challenge when they're ready
Mm-hmm.
because there is so much to do in the class
Mm-hmm.
and there isn't one lesson plan for everybody. It's a
Right.
mixed age group.
Mm-hmm.
So children learn to challenge themselves when they are ready.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what brings in self sufficiency in the children. And
Mm.
this self sufficiency brings in confidence.
That's right. And it lasts a
And
lifetime.
it lasts a lifetime.
Absolutely.
And that confidence with which every child can come up to the parent and the teacher, can you please check if this is correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think that is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what parents can do very easily at home as well, is to give choices to the children,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is from choosing their own clothes,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or choosing their own books.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be an intelligent choice.
Mm.
Don't take them to a library and say, now you choose whichever book you like, right? Because we never take them into the ocean and say, okay, now you learn how to swim, right?
So,
So we take them to a shallow pool,
uh-huh.
right, to teach them how to swim.
Okay.
Similarly, I think if you're taking them to a library and asking them to choose a book,
Mm-hmm.
you should visit that library before,
Ah.
choose the section, choose the books you think your child would be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Give the child a choice of 5 to 6 books to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
And then the child will be able to do justice to that choice. Otherwise, children learn to just go pick up a book and say, okay, I want this. And then when you come home, you realize your child is not reading.
Mm.
So, giving children choice
Mm-hmm.
in whatever it is that you're doing
Lovely. Yeah.
is a very good thing to do, because you're making them learn decision making and discerning from what they want and what they don't want can start from a very early age. But
Absolutely.
limiting the choice is a very good idea.
Yeah. And making them responsible for their choices,
There's a
isn't it?
consequence when we
Yeah.
have, there
Yeah.
must be a consequence.
That's
So
true.
when there's a choice given, hmm,
Mm-hmm.
and you think that the child does not make the right
Mm-hmm.
choice,
Mm-hmm.
many a time the child will figure it out very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, but at that point in time, it's very important to say, no, now you've made this choice.
Choice.
Now we need to stick by this choice.
Mm.
Tomorrow is another day,
Right.
and you can choose
Differently.
something else
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow. So
Mm-hmm.
very young parents, when they come to me, I
Mm-hmm.
said, give them a choice between a banana and a mango,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they've chosen a banana
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's not as sweet,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Then stick to the banana for that day or that moment.
Yes.
Don't say, okay, now you can have the other
Other
one
one.
immediately,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because then how will the child learn that I need to learn to make the better choice at that time? So these are some very
Very,
small
very.
things that parents can think about,
Yes, and I
you
think
know?
easy to implement in everyday life, provided you put in some effort yourself. I mean, it can't be bereft of the effort as an adult,
Right.
basically, right? Yeah.
So when you take readers to a library
Mm-hmm.
who already know what they want to read,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not difficult to achieve the next level of reading.
Right.
But what is more difficult is to get the child to reading.
Right.
And there you need to make a little effort,
Mm-hmm.
and then the child is
On the journey.
on the journey of reading.
So, of course, I mean, I also know, you yourself are quite a reader, and it's the season of Christmas, it's the spirit of giving. Now, why do you think that, books and reading are perhaps the best things that you can do, either as a parent or as a teacher or as a librarian? Why do you think that's one of the best gifts you can give children?
Because the cycle of giving continues with the book.
Ah,
It's not only the gift to one person, right? After you've read that book can be given to someone else, to someone else, to someone else, to someone else. And it's a season of giving,
yes.
right? So that cycle of giving just continues with a book. And a book never gets old,
Yes.
right? All other gifts have their own time span.
They dated.
They're dated, right? I mean, I still have the dictionary that was given to my brother when he was in kindergarten,
Oh.
right? So it has his name and my parents' little words
Yes,
given to him
as a gift.
as a gift, and then given to me, written right below that. After good 9, 10 years after it was given to him, we had an age gap of 8 years,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
And I gave that to my daughter,
Oh, that is just so lovely,
you know,
really. Yeah.
and I think that is the journey. Well, dictionary is a one sort of a book,
Mm-hmm.
but most books can have if we can take good care of them.
Yes.
And we all have books in our homes. I have, which have been passed on by my father's grandfather
Yes.
to him,
That's right.
and now to me,
Mm-hmm,
you know.
mm-hmm.
So I feel a book is the best thing you can give because the journey, the whole cycle of giving never
Absolutely
ends
continues. Yeah.
and it multiplies, right? Just
So,
like love given multiplies,
yeah.
I think the satisfaction from reading a book multiplies.
So well said. So wonderfully said in this season. I can see, someone saying, to what extent does technology help? I mean, does it help or does it constrain in implementing a pedagogy in school?
Okay, so I think we have to ask ourselves, when do we need technology,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the not Maria Montessori's pedagogy, that is totally dependent on brain development,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know that she was a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and from a doctor, she had studied the brain, and from there she went on to working towards an educational pedagogy.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about how the brain learns,
Okay.
right,
Mm-hmm.
for younger children,
Mm-hmm.
that's all we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
We need to join the dots
Mm-hmm.
of how the brain learns, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
we know that the brain learns through sensorial experiences till the age of 5 or
Mm-hmm.
6,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they need to work with their hands mostly and not see something moving,
Screen.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when they see a screen and they scroll, what they take from there is just this movement.
Mm-hmm.
Because our brain is learning through work of our hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
We manipulate something and we create those connections in the
The
brain,
brain.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, in that light, technology there does
Not.
not help us.
Yeah.
And we mustn't forget that technology is very young,
That's true.
right? And all those who have created technology did not grow up with technology,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they were able to do this creation of technology
Mm-hmm.
does not necessarily mean that the younger generation need this technology to get a better developed brain.
Mm-hmm.
But we should be careful that we do not leave out
Mm-hmm.
what those people who have created the technology did to create a brain that took them to creating that technology,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of articles that you can find now
Mm-hmm.
that Steve Jobs and other people who are technology masters
Mm-hmm.
do not give technology or have not given that technology to their children
Mm-hmm.
at home
Mm-hmm.
because that's still understudied. We still don't know that a child who's brought up only on gadgets,
Mm-hmm.
how will that brain develop later,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
But we have enough evidence in place that if we do not use technology in the beginning years, we can we can have um, very good brains who can take creation forward,
Mm-hmm.
like we see in the
Mm-hmm.
digital world today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we would still like to safeguard our children
Mm-hmm.
because we have yet to see evolution in brain development right now.
Mm-hmm.
Neuroscientists are proving Maria Montessori's theories
Mm-hmm.
in the year 2000s, very lately of the last 10, 20 years only.
Okay.
And that's why the Montessori method is gaining so much popularity all
Currency.
over the world because neuroscientists are proving how the brain of a young child learns now in the last 10 years. And that is something that Dr. Maria Montessori had given us 150 years ago.
150 years ago, really. So, yep, there is your answer. I can see Muttama saying hello from the basement. Hello, Muttama. I mean, I'm delighted to know that a lot of what Meenu is saying about introducing your kids to reading, to making them independent choosers, like to help them make decisions to do their own things. Lots of sensible advice in here for young parents, for young teachers, and for our audience, who I said mostly just parents.
Right.
Thank you so much, Meenu. I know it's a very, very busy day for you. There are parents waiting to meet you to understand where their children are going on their educational journey. It's been such a pleasure to have you chat with us
Thank you.
today.
It's been a pleasure to be here with you, and it's been a pleasure to have you in our school as well. I hope you've enjoyed the
Absolutely.
cold weather outside, but the warm hearts of Vivek High.
I have a polar soul. That's what I was telling everybody. I introduced them to Chandigarh and I said, I've been absolutely enjoying the cold of Chandigarh. But what is most enjoyable is the work that all of you and your teachers have done to pull off this Lit Fest. I mean, it's not a one team effort. It can't be. I mean, there's hundreds of children who have attended these authors' sessions, and your teachers and librarians, stemming from the vision that comes right up, from you taking the Lit Fest forward. We've had an
Yes,
absolutely wonderful
we
time.
wanted to put forward reading, especially post COVID. A
Yes,
lot of children are into gadgets,
yes.
so hopefully, a lot of children with this Lit Fest have bought books and will move into reading.
We are keeping fingers crossed, and we have to say that Christmas cheer has been made possible because of the number of books. I was at the pop up for a while, so was Sham. The number of questions that parents ask about books and reading, it's just a delight for people like us. It makes us think over and over again of how parents and children use books. You have given us a lot to cheer about this Christmas. Thank you so much,
You're
and we
welcome. It's
wish
been a
all of you
pleasure being here with all of you.
a wonderful Christmas. And the
Thank you.
gift of reading, I know it will keep on giving in the school.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much, Meenu,
Thank you
and
for having me here, Vidya.
what a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
To all of us watching, that was Meenu Sahi, the junior head of the junior school at Vivek High. What a pleasure! I can see many of you saying that it was a wonderful session. You're thanking Meenu Sahi, you're thanking Team Funky Rainbow, but we have all of you to thank for the exciting support that you always lend us. No wonder where we are hosting a bazaar from. Before I quickly say bye bye, I'm going to check. I can see other people who have signed up on the show, and I want to say thank you to all of them. Abhi Srini, Meenakshi Lingaraj, Shiraz Saini, Shruti Sri Raghunath, Narayan Swami, Tanya Devangi, Antara Rao, Meghna, K. Cool, Mukta Vikas, Adi Dev Press, Sujita Selvakumar, Aarti, Shreya from Daffodil Lane, Shruti Mohan, Preeti Ajit, Nandini Mohan, Vishnu Priya, and Rosella Stephen. It was such a pleasure that so many of you have joined us. I'm also going to say thank you to Ankita, Mukta Vikas, and Neharika. Thank you so much for joining us at this show. A big thank you going out to all the teachers, to the school Vivek High, to the founder of the head of the junior school, Meenu Sahi. And, we're going to be on a short bazaar break, I hope for a month. I'm not sure, because there are some plans to travel again to another city with the Lit Fest. If we have a chance to host a bazaar from there, we will certainly do it. But at least a short break till the 10th of January. But we'll be back next year in 2023 with lots of new books, lots of new bazaars, lots of exciting new guests. But the one thought that I absolutely want to leave all of you with is that keep reading, because it's a gift that simply does not stop giving. Till we see you next time, perhaps in early 2023. Bye bye and a Merry Christmas and a very, very happy New Year to all of you. We thank you for the support through these years, and we can't but help send you giant Christmassy hugs from all of us at Team Funky Rainbow. Bye bye. Take care. Keep reading.